super, super delighted to be speaking with you and sharing with you about our journeys into Tantra and also our upcoming workshop, The Sensual Heart. So if anyone has not met us, why don't we just introduce ourselves? Simon, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi. My name's Simon. Very short introduction. I came to this kind of field around intimacy and sexuality through a route around improvisation and creativity. And like, how can I bring more creativity and improvisation that I have been training people in for many years? How do I bring that into my sexuality, into the way that my heart wants to be in connection with other people? So I've been facilitating workshops for about 20 years now that are all about helping people to be supported in their creativity, and was mainly around theatre, but then opened up into this brand new, beautiful world of sexuality and intimacy a few years ago. So yeah, I'm here from that place and bringing from and offering from that place.
Beautiful. Yeah, those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason King. I am a sexological body worker, and I am just really passionate about listening to our bodies. And I've been on a big journey of getting more into my body and a little less in my head, and learning that my body has so much wisdom. And that has served me really beautifully in opening up to better sex, better intimacy, better connections. And it's a journey for me. So I'm excited to share that with you all as well. So we are going to talk a little bit about our journeys into Tantra, but also want to frame this in the context of one of our upcoming workshops called The Sensual Heart. So this is going to be a 3-day weekend for gay, bi, queer, men, male-identified folks to get to really connect from the heart, to explore your sensuality, to explore your eroticism in a really safe container, and maybe find some new ways of connecting with people than you're used to. And that's one of the big themes we wanted to explore today, is kind of what has actually kept us in repeating a lot of the same ways of hooking up, the same ways of dating. Maybe you've experienced this before, where you're like, God, I just feel like every time I meet someone and we have sex, it's just the same.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not just the same. Maybe there's a lot of pleasure in the same, but there's I'm experiencing and I'm not actually maybe connecting with the other person. Like, that person is there to satisfy my needs, and I'm there to satisfy their needs, and then we finish and we're done, and it's very nice and it's all very lovely, but maybe it's not even thinking about it being the same, but just like, there must be something more to this. Like, this is fun and this is pleasurable, and I'm getting something out of it, but yeah, there might be other ways that I might want to engage in this, and there might be something more.
Yes.
And that's sort of where we really were creating this weekend from, is to create a training ground, a space to play and to explore what else, how else might my body, might my system, might my juiciness want to express itself.
Yeah, I know personally, I used to live in San Francisco, which I think maybe other than Berlin is like the gay sex capital of the world. And I was having a lot of sex. I was meeting a lot of men. And what I found was there was a sort of script that like all of my hookups were following. You know, we'd meet, we'd start kissing, we'd get naked, somebody would suck one another, somebody would fuck the other person, maybe there's a rim job involved, someone comes, and then it's over. And preferably, if you could get out as soon as possible, that would be great. And I just noticed, like, it's the same. For me, it was really the same. And I was behaving the same. And also my partners were behaving the same. So it was like we had all internalized some script around kind of what sex looked like. And I think obviously a lot of that comes from porn, but a lot of that would get reinforced by going on more dates. It's like, oh, I would meet more people, they would behave in the same way. And so it reinforced this pattern of this is what sex looks like. This is the thing that we always do.
Yeah.
And I was often feeling like kind of bored, like, or I would leave and feel, yeah, as you said, like, surely there's got to be more than this, that I would really want to connect with someone. And frankly, I really wanted to be loved, but I didn't know how. It was like, how do you make a meaningful connection when we're both just following the scripts?
Yeah.
And so that's when I coined this term of kind of, we get on the train, that we meet, and then we both kind of implicitly agree we're just going to follow this script, and then it's going to end and we're going to say goodbye. And it's like from the moment you walk in, we can already predict what the whole thing's going to look like. And even though we might be kind of like not loving the train, or maybe we do like the train, oftentimes we don't actually know how to get off, or that there's other tracks.
Yeah. And I find that, like, I do love the train. My train is now very well designed. Like, I've worked out exactly what that train might enjoy, and how that train gets pleasure, and the things that I really love on that train. And at the same time, the important thing for me to note is all that matters with the other person in that train is that I'm attracted to them. And actually, like, I hold down my own creativity and like my ideas. And what I found for years was that I was very shameful about a lot of my sexual desires. I would be with someone and I would maybe have a thought of something I wanted to do, or maybe just didn't feel particularly comfortable in something they were doing. But I was very much in need of affirmation. I was very much in need of approval, and that felt more important than actually me discovering pleasure and discovering connection with that other person. It felt much more necessary that I needed them to think that I'm an amazing lover. I want to make sure that they have a great time, so that this is something that they think about and they talk about and go beyond, which is just not anything about me or my sexuality, and is deeply just playing out from a space of my need to be loved and my traumas around needing to be loved and accepted. And what I started to find was that I don't want that anymore. I mean, I've been in a slightly different place to Jason, because I was in relationships for a lot of my adult life. And so I spent my entire 20s in one relationship. And so but even in that, the sex that was happening in that relationship, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. We had no idea what it meant to actually be in connection, and what it meant to actually be open up to each other. And I was terrified to ask for what I wanted and what I needed. And in that, I would play games of like trying to find things and show parts of my body, and actually a lot of the time be very disappointed where the other person wasn't a mind reader and couldn't read, this is exactly what I want and this is exactly the pleasure that I want. So the train that I would then go on would be often quite a disappointing ride, because it would be either that person directly clicks into the way that I want to be sexually engaged with, or they don't. And I'm disappointed in that. But part of that disappointment was me trying to play this kind of role of kind of sex god. But I will make sure that you have an amazing time and that you will leave thinking this was an incredible time, which is just such a self-deceit.
It sounds like there was a big piece of needing to perform.
Yeah, completely needing to perform and needing them to believe that they're having an amazing time. them to believe that I'm having an amazing time. So that would mean we could go really deep into this meal. I'm not sure now's the place for that to really happen. But yeah, it was important that they believed that I was having a great time as well. So I was basically looking after them and their experience in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the connection that we were having together.
It's such a good point because, again, we have this image from porn that sex needs to be always really hot and passionate and fiery. And so it leaves no room for anything else.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, I think many people have had sex where they're just thinking, okay, I would like this to be over now.
Yeah.
But they need to play that they're into it, you know? So we fake it.
Yeah.
And actually what I found is when you can be like, hold on, this isn't quite working. Or can we just change this up? Or I'd really love to do something else. It creates this opening for new possibilities rather than just like waiting for this thing to be over. What can we do? What could be possible? And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Tantra is it really invites us into what is the truth of what's actually happening right now.
Did you always find it easy to express what you actually wanted in the moment?
Terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And still am sometimes, you know, like I think there's kind of steps. And the first step is noticing this is not what I want. And even that can be really hard because I had a history of dissociating a lot. So if something would cross my boundaries, I didn't even realize it. I would just go along with it. I would just allow this person to kind of use my body, waiting for it to be over. And so the first step was really noticing, like, I don't like this, or this isn't working for me, or I just want to do something else. And then comes the question of, well, what do I want to do? And that's also terrifying sometimes because I would often seek out men, kind of dominant men, who could be in charge so that I wouldn't have to decide. It's like, I don't actually know what I want, but they do. So let me just serve them. And then hopefully it works out for both of us. So there was...
Oh, I was going to say, there's also the place of doing that where you're not having to go into, well, what do you want from this person's body? Like I found that for me, I've avoided the dominance of my sexuality because I haven't wanted to show up in my desire for another person, in the fullness of my, like I can show that up in terms of the other person is responding to me, to like they are maybe dominating me, or I'm in a receiving position where I can show them how much pleasure I'm having, but they have created the space for me to have that pleasure. Whereas if I'm in a kind of giving role or a more dominant role, I felt very vulnerable because it's like I have to show up in my exact desire, in this is what I want from your body and this is what I want to do to you. And that's a much more vulnerable place for me, like to really take what it is that I'm wanting from this person could feel really edgy.
Yeah, it's scary to express our desires. And I think what I love about Tantra is it gives us this like practice field, you know, like any skill takes practice.
Yeah.
And most of us weren't taught how to explore our erotic desires. Most of us learned how to consume via porn, but we weren't taught by anyone how to actually tune in to what's naturally arising within us.
Completely.
And so we get this practice space of like, well, what could I want where the stakes are low? Because often in a date, as you said, I need to perform. It needs to be great. I want to show that I'm an amazing lover. That's a lot of pressure, you know? And in the Sensual Heart, for example, we get to create a space where there's no rush. we can slow down, we can take our time, and we're all here for the same reason. We're all here because we want pleasure, we want connection, we want love, we want to feel good.
Mm.
And when we come from that perspective of, hey, we all want the same things, can we get really curious? Maybe we want to try stuff and then actually we don't like it that much. That's okay. We can try something else. We've reduced the pressure, the need to be perfect.
Mm.
And then that creates, in my experience, so much fun and creativity and exploration, because I can trust this person a lot more.
Yeah. And I know that I often think about the very first time I ever went into a temple space, and how I had no idea really what to expect. It was a space that was ostensibly a heterosexual space. The one or two, like one particularly other guy that I knew was gay in the space, I had spent, I think, 2 months with on a gathering space. There'd been nothing between us. Neither of us, I think, had any sort of sexual interest in each other. And in this temple space, I came out of my head, like my head is conditioning of like, well, I don't want to engage with this person. I don't want to engage with this person, all these things. And it allowed me to follow, where does my body just want to be in the space? So like in a temple, you've often got different areas. Like here is a zone to explore sexuality. Here is a zone to explore non-sexual touch. There might be a zone to explore just eye gazing. All temples have different space and zones. And I really followed, like, where does my body want to move in the space, forgetting kind of what my conditioning is. And part of my brain was like, I'm in a temple. I want to explore sexuality. This is the thing I want to do. And I felt very drawn to the non-sexual touch space. And there was no one else there. And I was just, okay, I'm just going to go and sit there and see what happens, because that seems to be where I want to be taken. And this guy came over and sat with me. And this was the beginning of, I couldn't tell you how many hours we went into this exploration of. And it was such an open, free exploration with our bodies. I don't think, if I remember right, I don't think we even ever took all of our clothes off. I think that but it was one of the most erotic and sensual experiences that I'd ever had up to that point. And it was just discovery. It was what's next, what's next, what's next. And pausing at points to kind of just breathe. And then, okay, how about this? How about this? And could never have predicted that. And if I'd had my conditioned brain on, I might have felt a bit self-conscious, because this was someone that I have been friends with for a while by this stage, and was like, oh, do I really want to engage? Oh, like all of this story could have sort of gone off in my head. But there was something about being in this space that had a real sense of allowance in it, that allowed me to kind of just explore these things out. And it wasn't just about having the space to have the ideas. It was about having the space to then express the ideas, with the safety that if the person said, no, he didn't want to do those things, that was nothing to do with me. And that wasn't a rejection of myself. It was just let's see what else is here. What else has the space got to offer? And it just gave such a, it's almost like exploring my sexuality and sensuality in a comfortable, soft mattress that covers an entire room, that allows, okay, well, this is here, and now I get supported to be here and here. And those opportunities don't come about very often. And in each time I've been in temples, different things have opened up to me, and I've been able to explore different parts of myself, both sexually and in other forms of intimate connection.
Yeah, I think that's such a gift of spaces like the Sensual Heart. I don't know many other spaces where I get to really be intimate with people I don't know, and what I find is oftentimes in my life, I've had a real longing for intimacy to be held, to be seen, just to look in someone's eyes, as you said. And then I'm like, I'm single. How do I do that? And then I go on Grindr and it's like, this probably isn't going to get me what I'm looking for, or I have like a sauna where it feels like a gamble. It's like good luck. And so what I would end up doing is playing that out by seeking sex. It's like, okay, what I really was longing for was connection and intimacy, but the only avenue that I could get that was kind of close was sex. And that's why I often left feeling kind of disappointed, is because I wanted this thing. And then we got on the train and we started playing out the sex script, and intimacy wasn't part of that script.
Mm.
And real connection and vulnerability wasn't part of that script.
Mm.
And I didn't know how to bring that in. And so the Sensual Heart gives you an opportunity to tune in. What do I really want right now?
Yeah.
For me, I often get the most like horny and passionate and hot when I feel really connected with someone.
Mm.
And so taking 5 minutes, 20 minutes, however long, to just sit and eye gaze with someone, or just very gently touch one another, helps me trust them. It helps me open up. I can have a lot of barriers with people, a lot of walls. It helps my walls to slowly come down. It also builds a lot of tension, a lot of erotic tension, a lot of curiosity of like, ooh, where could this go? I don't know. There's so many possibilities that build when we take that time to slow down. And it also just allows my heart to be present in the whole connection. So it's no longer just about doing physical acts with body parts, but it's like, this is me, I'm a messy, complex person, and I'm meeting another complex person, and we're having a lot of fun together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As you're sharing that kind of, my initial thought went into, oh, I'm maybe not like that. I can get really into just sex for the sake of the sex act and the thing itself. And then I started to think, I'm not sure that's so true anymore. That used to be very much where I was at. But actually, I think something has shifted and changed. And I think because of these spaces where I start to go, yeah, I can get really into the sex act and I can have a lot of fun in just the act. I really can. But connection can happen quite quickly for me in those moments. And within the sex act itself, if I feel the connection there, I can open up to my creativity and I can open up to what's there. And like a space like what will be at the Sensual Heart gives me the space, or gives you the space, to really feel into not criticizing one way of having sex or another way, or one way of intimacy or another way. And you may not even have, it's not about coming there in order to have sex or to explore sex. Or, I mean, I know we've talked a lot about sexuality in this particular call, but it's about exploring what can exist in a connection, both with yourself and with somebody else. So we've had people in previous things that have actually just danced a lot of the time, but have really taken that from a place of, no, I'm not in avoidance, I'm choosing for something in myself. And this is the space that Sensual Heart is like, how do I really choose for a deeper longing, a deeper need that is outside of my conditioned need to feel validated or feel not abandoned? How can I choose for something deeper? And that is also where me and Jason are there to support you in your journey in that space.
Yeah, so let's talk about the weekend.
Yay.
So it's coming up. It is December 2nd through the 4th. So it's a Friday through Sunday. And this weekend is for gay, bi, queer, curious men or male identified folks, masculine folks who want to connect with other men. And Friday, we're going to open in the evening. And it's an opportunity to start connecting with one another, start building trust with one another, and really just start melting. There's this beautiful melting that happens with the group of allowing ourselves to be a bit softer, allowing ourselves to just slowly start opening up, allowing our hearts to be present, maybe getting curious about one another, starting to get sensual with one another.
It's a
We're
real
going to open
opportunity.
it.
It's a real opportunity to get to know each other. To just go, okay, these are the other people that I'm stepping into over this weekend together, and get to know what is it like to be together with those people without really needing to get any further. Because I know it can be very hard when you go to a workshop or a space like this, when you're first meeting people, there can be quite a lot of tension in that, and especially with the pressure of, oh, we're going to enter into a temple tomorrow night. Shit, fuck, what am I going to do? And he's hot and he's not, and I just, all of these stories. So the purpose of Friday night is to soften away from those stories into, this is our group and we're all on a journey together.
Yes. Friday, everyone's going to sleep at home. You're going to go home, but you'll come back. And Saturday, we're going to get to start practicing a lot of these skills to really make the most out of the temple space on Saturday nights. And that gives us new tools to connect with one another in a different way. You know, if we're used to following the script when we connect with someone erotically, we'll get to practice actually exploring our desires, you know, exploring what do we really want, how to talk about that. Also, looking at consent, you know, which is so important in spaces like this. How can we own our desire, but also how can we receive and give no's? That we're not obligated to anything, but that we really get to be in our own agency and we get to really own our own experience.
And how to start to really follow the body, and how to work outside of kind of the conditioned responses, how to move from those places into connection with each other, and how to get curious.
Yes, I love curiosity.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So Saturday evening, we then move into the temple and we open with a really beautiful cacao ceremony. And cacao is such a beautiful medicine to really gently open our hearts. And it just allows us to connect with one another more freely, to be more in tune with our emotions, to be more loving. And it also tastes great.
It does. There's something wonderfully sensual about a very thick cup of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
And the cacao that we use has come directly from the growers in Guatemala and is quite potent. It's actually very potent in the active ingredient that really drops you into your body and can give a slight sense of euphoria. So it really supports a space of connection and a space of good music.
Yes. Yeah. So the temple space will open, and this is where, you know, you have this open playground to connect with one another. And that might look like dancing, that might look like eye gazing, cuddling, kissing, being sensual, being sexier. So there's different spaces where a lot of different things are possible. Maybe you want to get into some BDSM scenes, you know, you're welcome to be spanking one another. Maybe you actually just want to be sitting next to someone and just feeling their support. That's welcome as well. So it really is this space of incredible possibilities.
And maybe you just want to be on your own and come into your own space, and it feels like, actually, this feels like in my higher service right now. I know for some people who are very, possibly myself included here, actually, for some people it could be very like, oh, well, I've got to get the most out of this space, and I've got to, I want to connect there, and I want to feel this. actually, like, my deeper truth in that moment might be, actually, I want to be quite quiet and on my own here. And that this whole story that I've got to be doing as much as possible and getting as much as possible out of this, actually, like, is that really what my system wants? And the whole point in Saturday daytime is to really practice the skills of sensitivity to what is it my system actually wants here, and can I be courageous enough to step into that?
Yeah.
So Saturday night, after we close the temple, which will be late, about midnight, 11 or 12, we all sleep together in the space. Now, we sleep separately. You will not be sharing a bed with anybody. But we find it's very potent to spend the night together. You don't leave that space and go back to your home, go back to the things that are familiar, the things that are the same way that we do things. Maybe you've got a housemate or a partner, or maybe it's just your stuff that is all around you and you know that world very well. It's very potent to spend the night together, and that can feel quite edgy for some people, especially if we're not used to spending nights in rooms with lots of other people. But the insistence will be that you sleep apart so that you have time to also come back to yourself and come back to your experience and what is it like to be you in that moment. So often in spaces where it's about interaction, connection, we put a lot of ourselves into other people. So the nighttime is really about, I'm coming back to me, but held within this space together. And yeah, there's a sumptuousness that can happen there of like coming back to me in this room of these people. And that we actually hold that silence and we hold that apartness until after breakfast on the Sunday.
Yeah. So Sunday is really digesting like all of these gifts, all of these treasures that might have surfaced in the temple, and also some of the challenges. And the challenges can often be where the biggest treasures are, because this is a playground that's probably quite different from other playgrounds that you've played on before. And it can bring up a lot for us. You know, it can be really powerful kind of mirrors to parts of us that we don't get to see every day. And so we have the opportunity to explore what's come up and how can we best go integrate this into the rest of our lives, you know, because it's not just about what happens here on this weekend. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's how do I bring this new way of relating to others, but more importantly, relating to myself. And how do I bring that into my daily life so that I can hold myself with the same amount of love and softness that we've gotten to taste in the temple.
Yeah, I think that is super important for anything that we go and do, is like, how is this not just this weekend fun fair? How is this going to move into my life and affect the way that I live my life beyond this weekend?
Beautiful. This has been such a good conversation.
Great chat. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
We are definitely going to be doing more Facebook Lives, and we're going to keep exploring the best technological solutions to get us there.
Yeah, we will
but
start on time.
Thank you so much to those folks who have been watching. We really appreciate that. I just dropped a link in the chat below this video to get more info about the Sensual Heart. If you have questions, curiosities, feel free to message Simon or myself. We are really happy to talk to you and explore if this is really the right thing for you at this time in your life.
And I think it's important to say it doesn't serve anybody for us to be convincing you to do something you don't want to be doing or don't need to be doing at this point in your life right now. So any chats you have with us is very open.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate it. And yeah, hope to see you on a future video. Take care.
Bye-bye.